Hey guys, I won't go into the darkest of the darkest parts of what took place. And anyhow, this will be the last of the videos that I'm going to do on what happened to my husband. I would like to just say that I ended up getting an emergency petition, going to the judge, getting emergency petition to put my husband in the hospital. And that I believe was the most unwise thing I have ever done in my life. I think the best thing would have been that I should have left my husband at that point in time. So anyhow, I did that, and because of that, they diagnosed him with Alzheimer's and put him in behavioral unit. And then days later, they called and said that he had fallen twice, and they had to do emergency surgery on him. So they did and I can't say it, craniotomy, whatever it's called, that they cut his head open, the whole one side of his head, and drained the blood. Well, because he's elderly, he had like a delayed response after surgery. So they ended up, the surgeon was out of town, so then another surgeon took over, and he had the surgery again, looking for a figure, and they thought there was more blood, which there wasn't. So after the second surgery, it was a very bad situation. He couldn't eat, drink, walk, or talk, and he was not very responsive whatsoever after that for quite a while. And so anyhow, they put in a peg tube, and the type that you can take out easily and all, but he ended up pulling that out, not realizing. So then they put the second peg tube in. Here I am with a husband in the hospital, figuring he will be in a nursing home for the rest of his life if he survives. And they gave me the option of do you want to continue feeding him? Because he was just in very, very bad shape, and that they could just make him comfortable, and I had, the right to decide basically whether he lives or dies. And I don't know, some people can live a good while, like I've heard of like dry fasting, no water, no food. So I don't know whether he could have come back from that or not. But I said I don't want him to suffer. No food, no water, no liquids, nothing. And so I said, to please, to continue feeding him, which they did. But at that point in time, I figured there was just no hope. And they figured that he was really paralyzed on the one side. That he was at that, there was a point there, and I'm not really sure when it was, that he was able to start gripping your hand, and he started to say in a few words. And so then there started to be hope there that maybe he could recover. Well, the first surgeon came back, and he was very optimistic, and he felt that my husband could recover. And I was astonished because the one doctor, didn't really give him that much hope. And he went down to like 138 pounds, I believe it was. And in this picture here, he's back home, and he's doing home therapy. And you can see he's still pretty skinny. And once he started eating, he started to gain his weight back. And they did the home therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy, and all that. They did in-house because he was so weak. But he did absolutely incredible for being, being a very elderly man. And that's what the one doctor said, that he was, he was very elderly, and basically he kind of alluded that he was kind of end of life age anyway, and really didn't give much hope. But when we went back to the first doctor that had done the surgery on his head, he was very optimistic, and I was astonished because I would imagine that there's a lot of elderly people out there that goes into this issue of brain surgery and bleeding of the brain and all, and may have a possibility of surviving and having complete recovery, but they are in such bad shape at the time, it appears that there is no hope for them. 48 days later, LP came home from the hospital and was able to walk with a cane. Today is February the 19th, 2023, and I'm going to try to have a candid conversation with LP as to what went wrong with us. Okay, LP, let's hear it from you.
All right, we was in the same room for 58 years. How about that, fellas? And I couldn't get rest. She would listen to the phone, it would light the whole room up, and I was maybe getting 4 or 5 hours sleep. Then it got down to 2 and 3 hours sleep in a 24-hour period. So I suggested that one of us moved out of the room into another room. It was better for me to stay where I was at. I had a better bathroom. I had a bigger toilet. I'm a taller person. I'm 6'2". I used to be 2.5 now, and I am trying to get rest. I'm trying to get this work done. We decided both of us to buy a piece of property. So after we said we can't get that in 2 days, we decided to go ahead and get it. And
okay, LP, guess what?
What?
You're completely off track of what are,
Why don't you tell me what the hell I'm supposed to tell you?
Well, the point is, here's the point. I wanted to discuss as to what happened with you, and not just what happened
was I wasn't getting my rest. And if I don't get my rest, I'm over across the street cutting up 300 boxes, empty boxes, and 200 at the house.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to do it. That was just probably 8 hours to cut up 300 of them, and probably another 5 hours to cut up 200 boxes.
Well, the point was, I thought we were going to move and need boxes, so I was saving boxes, and I did not realize that we had what he's saying is 500 boxes. I did not see 500 boxes, but he says we had 500 boxes.
I cut them up and I put them out for the garbage.
Yeah.
And I kept putting them out every garbage night.
Yeah.
And so finally, I put them all into a great big box. I tore them suckers up. Instead of putting them in plastic bags, I put them in a great big box that are...
They could be recycled, right? They could have been recycled.
I probably could have made spaghettios out of them, and I could have ate them that way. But I was getting rid of them.
Well, anyhow, point being, LP.
It didn't cost nothing.
Yeah, okay. Anyhow, point being...
See this right here? Let's get one of these and we'll put it on the garbage truck and we'll get rid of it. There's only a few of them here on the ground.
Okay. Anyhow, point being...
There goes the sun.
There goes the sun. Anyhow, point being, I made a horrendous decision for LP, and it didn't turn out well, and it didn't turn out well at all, and I made a drastic mistake by sending him to the hospital. And I just felt something was wrong, because he was not acting himself, but he said he was acting himself and that he remembers everything, and he was not acting differently.
Except for the last day. I wonder what the hell that was. They give me a shot in my side, So I must have got up and run through a wall.
Yeah, well,
after I was laying on my own bed.
Yeah, well, anyhow, the point is he went to the hospital and he could eat, drink, walk, and talk. And what happened while he was in the hospital, I don't know. And, I wasn't there, and I cannot say what happened.
I was there, and about 12 or more nurses, they wasn't godly. They was devilish. About 12 of them in this nut ward.